What did gladiators really do all day? The sun has yet to fully break through the veil of night over the eternal city, but for some men, the day has already begun. Not in the opulent palaces of the patricians, nor in the bustling forums, but in a place of discipline and tense anticipation. The ludus, the gladiatorial school. Here, far from the public's gaze and the roar of the arena, live those who personify Rome's brutality and glory. But what really happened between the bloody battles? What was the daily routine of these men who became icons of an era? The image that often comes to mind is of the relentless warrior, covered in blood and glory. We imagine their lives as a constant cycle of epic combat and fleeting celebrations. But the truth is that a gladiator's life was far more than the few moments of controlled fury before a crowd thirsty for spectacle. Most of their days were dedicated to a rigorous routine, a mix of exhaustive physical training, body care, forced camaraderie, and the constant shadow of impending death. The gladiatorial games evolved from Etruscan funeral rituals to become one of the most popular and politically significant forms of entertainment in ancient Rome. Grand amphitheaters like the Colosseum sprung up across the empire. The ludus were more than just barracks. They were true institutions, often owned by wealthy individuals or the emperor himself. These complexes offered lodging, food, medical training, and specialized instruction. Life inside the ludus was marked by an internal hierarchy and the bonds of camaraderie that formed among these men who shared an uncertain destiny. The day invariably began early. Discipline was fundamental, and the morning was dedicated to strengthening the body. The morning training was intense and varied, with rigorous warm-ups to prepare their muscles. Running, jumping, and strength exercises were common. Next came training with wooden weapons, lighter and safer replicas of what they would use in the arena. Under the careful supervision of the instructors, the gladiators practiced blows, defenses, and different fighting styles, perfecting their skills. Each type of gladiator, from the agile retiarius to the heavy murmillo, had specific training. The middle of the day was reserved for food and rest. Meals were nutritious, aimed at providing the energy needed for muscle recovery, and consisted of whole grains, vegetables, legumes, and occasionally, meat. After the meal, there was time for rest and medical care. Injuries were common, even in training, and the presence of doctors was essential. The afternoon was dedicated to even more intense training, sometimes with real but blunted weapons, making the combat simulations more complex and demanding and preparing the gladiators for the unpredictability of the arena. As night fell, the atmosphere in the ludus grew calmer. After an exhausting day, the gladiators had a brief period of socializing. They talked, played dice, or perhaps shared stories of past battles. For many, however, the night brought with it reflection on an uncertain future. The shadow of death constantly loomed over their lives, and each new day was an approach to their possible final combat. Archaeological evidence, such as gladiator tombstones, provides us with valuable information about their lives, recording their names and the number of victories. Studies of skeletons found in ancient ludus reveal muscular bodies and marks of countless injuries, confirming the physical intensity of their lives. The discovery of food remains and other artifacts helps us reconstruct aspects of their diet and daily activities outside of training. Ancient texts, such as those by Galen, the famous physician who worked at a gladiatorial school, also offer insights into their medical care and the nature of their injuries. The figure of the gladiator permeated Roman culture. Their image was omnipresent in art, mosaics, paintings, and sculptures. They became symbols of courage and sacrifice. The technology behind gladiatorial weapons and armor was sophisticated for the time. Each type of combatant had specific equipment, carefully designed to offer protection and an advantage in combat. The gladiators' diet, though simple, was essential for their survival and performance, demonstrating an empirical knowledge of an athlete's needs. The social organization within the ludus, with its clear hierarchy, reflected the structure of Roman society. Despite their status as slaves, some gladiators achieved fame, fortune, and, in rare cases, freedom. When we look at the imposing ruins of the Colosseum and imagine the roar of the crowds, it's easy to get lost in the bloody spectacle of the gladiatorial games. But as we delve into the daily routine of these men, we discover a more complex and human reality. They were elite athletes, subjected to rigorous training and ruthless discipline. They were men who, despite the brutality of their fate, developed skills, bonds of camaraderie, and, in some cases, even hope. The story of the gladiators reminds us of the human capacity for adaptation and the pursuit of survival, inviting us to reflect on the values that shaped our past and, in some way, still resonate in our present.